look at the software you're doing is, in my opinion, just fantastic software. And you know, I maybe look more from what it outputs, right? But is it difficult to make that kind of software? Or?
Yeah, it's pretty difficult to make that software. To make it is one thing, but to sustain it and make sure that it works on all platforms, is reliable, doesn't contain any defects, at least not obvious ones, yeah, is really a challenge. That's why it's called software engineering. It's just not only creative. There's a lot of structure to that.
So when you develop software, is that, I mean, you have like some, in layman terms, you have like there's something in the computer that should work, but what I experience as a customer, it should be easy, right?
Yes, yeah, that is indeed has changed a lot from the past days when I was working user friendliness, usability. People don't wanna invest the time to do too many clicks and so forth. It's not enough that the software works. The software has to really help the person. It has to be easy. It has to be straightforward. It has to use concepts that are natural to humans. So the human-machine interface, that is something very, very important. That's something where we put a lot of more emphasis on that.
Yeah. Let's just assume that you have like a meeting with your programmers and UI, user interface developers. Is that something that you also have as part of the agenda? Say, make it as easy as possible to use, because we need to be saving our resources on education, and things like that.
The way we do that, we actually start from what we call a user story. Yeah. So we talk to the customer and we make that into a user story, and that user story has what we call acceptance criteria. Yeah. When is it good enough? And user friendliness and performance and are all things on top. The base layer is like, it should do this for this reason, but then it should do this with a certain performance. It should do this and be the easiest possible.
But isn't that like, you know, isn't that much more like in the testing and development, or is that also in relation to the daily users?
Yes, that starts with the description. Before actually we have developed anything, we describe the user story and its criteria for success, basically. And then we develop that, and then ideally we should show it to the users again and validate whether what we have developed actually means that. It's a historic developed program, so we still have a lot of things also to rework that use concepts, etc., from the past that were not so easy.
Yeah, because you need to comply to old, you know, I mean, if you have like an old installation, you cannot just expect people just
that is
throw it away.
We have a very, for example, on Pitstop, a very loyal customer base that is used to doing things in a certain way. If you would radically change that, you might alienate those users.
Quite interesting, because I mean, I guess that most of our viewers, they rarely get under the motor helmet on the software they're using, and that was why I was interested whether it was difficult to make, because I mean, of course you have competitors here in Enfocus, but I guess that you have got your pretty good market share, don't you? I mean,
yes, especially on the pre-flight and PDF tools, and it's not just about the skill to make software. With PDF, it's also the deep understanding of how does that format works. You can quickly make an application that does something with PDF, but something that assures that a tool that assures that what you get out of it is compliant with all the details of the PDF standard. That takes not only a lot of programming but also a lot of experience and in-depth knowledge of that domain, and I think that's really the DNA of Enfocus.
If you look at a program like Switch and Pitstop, do they have a shared code base, or is that like two completely separate programs? Or?
No, they definitely share codes really under the hood is a set of libraries.
So does that mean that
all the PDF logic that is in one is obviously also shared with the other.
So does that mean that if you, let's say, one day decide to develop a new kind of software, then that some of the basis of course, depending on what software, of course, but does that mean that when you don't have to be from a zero starting point if you decide to go in certain directions?
Yes, exactly. That core of PDF processing, for example, and some of the fundamentals of workflow automation, we could reuse in a new product. And what typically changes when you make new products is the interaction with the user. For example, if you would move from a desktop product to more of an online web-based software. You can typically still reuse a lot of the same code that actually does the meat of the work, but it's then the way it interacts with the user. There's a lot of development to do in that area.
And I mean, you have been a new managing director here since, is it almost a half year?
Half a year now, yeah.
I was just wondering, when you have this passion for the software and the products and what they do and things like that, can you also have the same passion as managing director? I mean, because you need to deliver results. I guess there's some shareholders that want to make money on you, right?
Yes, that is a very good question. Yeah, and I to be honest, when making such steps in my career, I wonder, will I have the same passion about creating software and having fun making as I will have with business challenges like how do I make the revenue work, how do the financials work? But in fact, I found out doing it that I'm equally passionate, if not more so, about it.
In a position like you have like a power to actually do things, right? In a completely different way, being in another job where you're not a senior decision maker, basically, and it must be fun.
Yeah, that is fun, but it's also a big responsibility.
Yeah, you have to make the right decision.
And you definitely right? you rely on your team. Luckily, I have a very good and strong team that helps me a lot. Yeah. And forgives my ignorance on some things.
Or when you look into I mean, the results, the financial results that you need to deliver, do you think there's still like a huge growth potential for Enfocus?
Yes, I definitely think there's growth potential. Last year we made good growth. I don't think that is because of me, that was because of a good strategy that was in place, but I might get some credit for that. That's good. But
so when the new strategy that you spoke about is finished and implemented, then you can take a little bit more credit for the results if they are good, right?
Yes, indeed, and that's also a bit of the risk aspect of it. But I like that it's by getting outside of your comfort zone, taking some risks that the rewards can potentially also be larger.
What I like about the way that you say it is that you are honest that it's not, it's not like your effort or your predecessor's effort. It's like a team effort, right?
It's definitely a team effort.
Is that part of the DNA of Enfocus?
Yeah, I would say part of the DNA of Enfocus is fun and team spirit, working hard, playing hard, achieving things together, and that's makes you feel like you belong to a team, and that's important for me. It's not a one-man show.
Do a company like yours need to develop new products, or can you just survive on doing what you have been doing always?
No, at a certain point you have to also look into new products, but that's something you have to carefully look at. It's not per se a necessity. I think we can still achieve a lot by making the products pit stop, but definitely also switch better, improving them, adding extra capabilities on top of that.
You have a very open attitude towards showcasing the benefits of using your products. I mean, that openness is not so much seen in the industry, and I think that is also a starting point, because I think a lot of new users and younger users, they have a huge interest in having that openness.
I agree.
Why is it that development and things like that has to be, kind of encapsulated until it's released?
Well, yeah, we have two very successful products, or more actually three, and there is risk involved in investing in a new product direction. So we have multiple options which we are evaluating, and we need to make sure that we make the right decision, because we have a lot of customers that depend on it. So it's not.
And they have some expectations.
And they have some expectations on how software from Enfocus works.
Yeah. You have a background from ESCO actually, so you know also your sister company very well. And I mean, do you have like things that are? I mean, do you develop things together or?
Yes. Yeah. Well, develop things together partially, but we definitely share base technology. Yeah.
And is that because you also mentioned to me that, for example, we're making a film from the Bernard Group, and you said that this relationship that you start to form with Tilia Labs and with how they have integrated with Switch, that even though it could be like a competitor, it is still like enormously beneficial to have the openness also towards other vendors, right?
Yeah, I believe so. I don't believe that, especially in commercial print, large format, that a single vendor can make an end-to-end workflow that solves all issues and challenges of the customer in the best possible way. To achieve that, I really think an ecosystem where multiple vendors can come in with best-in-class solutions that fit well to each other is the way forward, let's say.
Wim, it's been a pleasure
Thanks,
to talk to you.
Morten. Pleasure, likewise.